Well, the world did not come to an end this week. I don't think it did. The only other conclusion I can reach is that maybe it did, and there's a special group that is involved in the rapture, involving you and me, all my listeners out there. Maybe we're in this special category that the rapture to us is continuing to live the life that we live and moving on forward. I hope that's the case, because I'm living a pretty good life. I enjoy what I'm doing with my family and where I live, and doing this radio show, talking to so many of you, both in the United States and all over the world. So if this is what it's going to be in the future, look, I hope it lasts for a long period of time. If you're not aware of the details, a minister, Howard Camping, has a Christian group. A lot of radio stations and TV stations, I think some of his stations carry this show. Has Family Radio Network out on the West Coast. He said the world was coming to an end. And look, I'm not knocking Reverend Camping for what he was doing. He went through the Bible. He looked at Noah's flood, saying that was the first apocalypse back in 4,990. Now, he figured that out by the date of the Great Flood based on other dates given in the Bible, kind of a complicated formula, but he came up with that date as when Noah's flood took place. Then he added 7,000 years, because in Genesis 7:4, it says that the people have 7 days to prepare for the flood back in biblical times. Well, he interprets this, he looks at a book in the Bible, I think 2 Peter 3:8, I think, or 3:9, that says that when it comes to God, 1,000 years is like a day. So he has 1,000 years for the 7 days. And then he puts these two verses together and determines that for the apocalypse, we have 7,000 years to prepare. 4,990 plus 7,000, there was no zero, he said, and so it brings us to 2011. Then as far as the time, he says that, first of all, he says the Great Flood occurred on the 17th of the Hebrew month of Lyre, 4990. That's the year that corresponds to May the 21st. And so this is his multiplier, and he gave a good faith effort, and I don't know whether it works or not, but that's his decision. And who knows what we mean by the rapture or a change of time. You look at this world we live in today, it's a pretty trying time right now. We've got the, what do we have? We've got the tsunami that took place, all the damage to this great nation of Japan. We've got the BP oil spill in the Gulf, the flooding that's taking place down here in Louisiana right now, where it's devastating our part of the world. We've got, whether you believe in global warming or not, you've got the ice age to where it's melting there. Certainly affects us. The Gulf of Mexico is rising by about 2 inches a year. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but 100 years from now, folks, New Orleans and Baton Rouge are going to be underwater unless we became a Venice and build huge levees around where we live. So there are some changes coming along, and if one day in the life of God is equivalent of 1,000 years, then who knows what may be going on. There's some interesting times in which we live, and Tim DeLay wrote about it in the Left Behind series. A lot of discussion, and maybe it's a good thing we're taking all this around. The book of Revelations is a complicated book to read. I'm not a biblical scholar. I've had a hard time struggling with the book of Revelation because it's so hard to get direction, and it's very, very complicated to spend some time in the book. I'd like to take a course in just the book of Revelation to tell me what all it means. But anyway, for Reverend Camping, you gave it your best shot. It didn't work out. Someone sent me an email saying, well, it wasn't the world that was going to end this week. It was Oprah that was going to end this week. So maybe Reverend Camping got a little confused. And in any event, for whatever happens, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. We're on the radio on a regular basis, and I hope that whether we're in a rapture or not, you continue to listen to me right here on Jim Brown's Common Sense.